Hey everybody, I am back. Hope you've all been super well. And yeah, apologies, there might be some background noise of the test machines. I normally would stop them for recording, but we're trying to catch up on a backlog of testing. So I may be keeping them running as much as possible whilst I faff my way through first video back. Yeah, overall we had a great fun trip. We kicked off with like 7 days of theme parks at Disney and Universal. So we went on a bajillion rides and experiences. We pretty much conquered them all. Some numerous times. Then we're off to Washington for the we did the Kennedy Space Center as well whilst down in Orlando, up to Washington for the Smithsonian's, down to Vegas for the Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon, the Sphere, and also a bunch of fun, some BattleBots. So all up between rides and experiences and outdoor experiences, it was a grand old trip. Thanks to American food and an inability to exercise, I could almost audibly hear myself getting fatter. And I think much longer I may well have got a case of scurvy. It was just so hard to get actual nutrients. So I've got some, things to work off now that I'm back and starting to get back on the bike. Alrighty, of course, there's a bunch of stuff that happens whilst I'm away, but I'll do just a couple of quick low friction updates today, and we'll catch up on others over time. I need to just sort of put a bit of a block on today, covering, I guess, the planned, or what's really the outstanding project list for zero friction cycling, which is a little bit more than what I'd like it to be versus the amount of resources that I have. So we'll have a bit of a run through that. I guess I just want to keep everyone in the loop of really all the stuff in the background that Zero Friction Cycling is working on, and the challenges I have trying to balance the amount of work I can get to overall amongst everything else. And we'll be doing our best to see what we can get done for the remainder of this year. But a bunch of this project list is going to spill on over into 2025. Alrighty, first low friction news though, on to Silka's strip chip. So whilst I was away, I had a couple of my bike's drivetrains upgraded, which is super fun for me. Also gave me a couple of new chains with factory grease to test out fun stuff like this. And so it's great to just put this to the test, personally. And overall, it works exactly as per the Silka, marketing and advertising. However, just a couple of little ins and outs with regards to strip chip I wanted to quickly go over because I don't think we covered that on the video before I left. Okay, the first is just to reiterate that you do really need a temperature control pot. You do really need to have this, as they say, at 125 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes and then reduce it down to 75, or I think really anywhere near 75 is going to be fine, but having it at that rather specific 125 degrees Celsius for that time is apparently very, very important. So it doesn't need to be the Silka pot, obviously. There are a lot of, what we'd sort of term instant pots or multi-cookers that have temp control. Even some slow cookers have temp control, where you will be able to set the temperature to 125 degrees, but you will need a temperature control pot. And trying to do it manually via, a manual slow cooker and switching it to high and then to low, you will be chasing the temperature too much because there's just too much of a delay as it pumps the heat in on high, and then you're trying to remove it when you move it back down to low again. It just could really get, a bit all over the place and will be pretty faffy. With a temperature control pot, it's obviously just super easy. You set it to 125. When that is up to temperature, you put your strip chip in, you put your chain in, and then just sort of follow the bouncing ball from there. Okay, post the Silka release, they had a whole lot of questions go in, and they did another video to cover off a lot of the FAQs. One of them was, is the strip chip compatible with other brands' waxes? They said that they, overall, weren't really sure, but one that they were, saying they were certain that it's not compatible with was Molten Speed Wax, because Molten Speed Wax state on their website that, the maximum temperature is for their wax is 90 degrees Celsius. I have confirmed with Molten Speed Wax that the strip chip is absolutely fine, so there's no issues with putting Molten Speed Wax to 125 Celsius for 10 minutes, same as do with Silka Hot Melt. The 90 degrees Celsius is just basically their recommended normal perfect wax and re-wax temp. But in terms of getting it to that 125 for 10 minutes, no issues at all. So Molten Speed Wax, officially giving the green light that Strip Chip is perfectly compatible to use with their product, same as with Silka Hot Melt. Now, there is, I guess, just sort of one aspect of this product that hasn't really been covered previously, and it's just worth taking note of with regards to, I guess, how this product is going to work as opposed to other pre-prep options for your chain or cleaning options for your chain. It's really not going to, I think, be a concern for probably 99% of cyclists, but just something for you to be aware of and weigh up. Let's have a look at, I guess, what we would typically see in the bottom of an ultrasonic cleaner after we have ultrasonically cleaned a chain ready for wax prep. So you can see here in the bottom of the ultrasonic, there's a whole bunch of little metal particles, so that is very normal. It does vary a bit by chain, even within the chain brand. There's variants, literally can be the same chain model, same chain brand, and the amount you get in the bottom can sometimes be quite light and sometimes quite heavy. There's just going to be X amount that of fine metal particles that are in the chain from manufacturer that will come out through the ultrasonic cleaning. Now, if you're using Silka Strip Chip, it's not an ultrasonic process, so I would expect, I guess, a bit of a mix of, you're going to get some metal particles going into the wax in your wax pot. Some will be left in the chain to go, into the wax on the chain. No fine metal particles are really optimal in either. All right, so how much of a concern, is that in reality? Honestly, it's not much. I don't think we could put our sort of hand on heart and say we could track a wear life performance difference for a chain that has been ultrasonically cleaned and waxed as it's prepped versus solvent clean via container method versus strip chip, where the metal is sort of not going to go anywhere from that. I think it's too small, really, that we wouldn't be able to track that smaller variable across the lifespan of a chain. So it's not something I would stress about at all. I tested it on my new T-Type XXSL chain. It's a model name that really rolls off the tongue. It's a $250 chain, and I'm not worried about it at all. However, if this was to be a dedicated race chain, so for those that have race chains because you're avidly racing, still for sure the recommended prep would be ultrasonic if possible. Even sans that, obviously just doing the initial break-in as per the guide, and then good solvent flash cleaning or solvent cleaning method via container. You're going to get the vast majority of all that crap out and have a great prep for your dedicated race chain. And also for those that have a dedicated race wax pot to go along with that, so that their race wax is always mint, as opposed to seeing crap coming in from re-waxing your training chains. That's just going to be your gold standard path still, as opposed to, say, strip chip prep. So really, for dedicated race chains, that's the only time I would say recommend against using strip chip versus methods that are going to ensure we're getting those fine metal particles out. Other than that, for training chains, I wouldn't stress at all. Now, I think soon I'll do a video just really focused on the initial chain prep and really put in video form what we have with the concise chain prep guide on the website. Just covering off the main options from ceramic speeds drivetrain cleaning to Silka's chain stripper, strip chip, and traditional solvent method. Whether you're looking to immersive wax or just move to a proven top wet or wax strip lubricant, getting rid of the factory grease really is such a very important step number one. And so the easiest and best way for you to do that, I think it's just going to be good to have that covered off properly. Now that I've tested strip chip and can't find any fault with it really, apart from what we sort of highlighted through prior, just with taking note of the fact that it's not going to get rid of any of the fine metal that may be in your chain. I'm going to be happy to stock that as part of the Zero Friction Cycling offerings once it comes back in stock with the Silka importer for Australia. I think it's been a bit of a barnstormer for a product, so I was really curious as to how this product was going to be received by the market when they first launched. So it's been really interesting to see that it seems to have just been pretty well gangbusters. From what I can tell, come into stock with the importer here in Australia and almost immediately out of stock. And I mean, like, basically like as soon as it's come in, it's all been sold. And I think that's happened twice over. So I'm on back order now, and we'll hopefully get some soon and be able to pop that up. And yeah, final little wrap at the mo. Just remember, it is also perfectly compatible and groovy to use with molten speed wax, as well as it is with obviously Silka's hot melt. Next quick bit of low friction news, just a couple of chains to cover off. Now the first one, I must have missed this launch by SRAM somewhere amongst things, but SRAM have another version of the red axis flat top chain, which now SRAM, so your red force rival, that is the axis flat top road chain, so not in the mountain bike line. Although I do believe that these chains are also carried across into gravel or the Explore group set. So obviously they've had the red, the force, and the rival flat top chains for a while, but there is a new red chain out just to help confuse things, and this is the red E1 chain. All right, so what is a E1 red chain versus a normal SRAM red chain? Basically, in the great tradition of many things in life where you have the option to pay more to get less, it is just a more expensive, lighter version of a SRAM red chain. So traditionally, the SRAM red force and rival chains are all solid plate or solid links. We can see here there are some fairly aggressive cutouts in the link plates to make it lighter. They claim 13 grams lighter. I'm not 100% sure if that's on the 114 link length chain or 126 link length chain. But suffice to say, I mean, most installed chain lengths are between about 104 and 112 links long. So call it, let's say around 10 grams weight saving as an approximation in real world. Something that you would never ever notice, but the offerings are now there. SRAM do seem to be, I guess, working really hard still to garner maximum correct chain confusion. If we have a look at this one, so this is obviously a flat top chain. If we have a look at that versus the XXSL for the new Eagle T-type transmission, they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty darn similar looking. And just remembering that the SRAM's red force rival flat top chains are not compatible with the T-type Eagle transmission. So now, whilst the T-type Eagle transmission is, I guess, really their mountain bike focused group set, for the increasing number of gravel bikes that have a direct mount frame, we will start to see an increasing number of T-type Eagle transmissions on gravel bikes as well, as opposed to running the SRAM Explore gravel group set, for which the SRAM red chains are compatible. So yeah, there's certainly, already I'd covered, I think, some of the information around the T-type chains, that by putting, Eagle in the model names, that really increases the risk of people purchasing the incorrect chain, because the existing or the original SRAM Eagle is a completely different system. So for instance, an XX1 Eagle chain or an X01 Eagle chain is not compatible with an XXSL or XX Eagle T-type transmission, and vice versa. So it's just between everything. I think as a brand, you've got the greatest chance of buying the wrong chain for the group set with SRAM, and I think they could perhaps do some better work to clean that up a little. We will have some, actually we've just landed some stock of the E1 red chains, more or less because I still couldn't purchase any of the normal red chains. So yeah, the E1s come in rainbow and silver, and in 114 link length and 126 link length, of which I couldn't get all of those options either. But just across the board, it really just keeps fudging with the number of chain variations to try to stock and offer in 3 different pre-prep options. So it sure does make things fun as well to have another option whereby the really the only difference is price and 10 grams. But yeah, we have to get what we can get so that we have stock to sell. And yeah, it has not been easy for a long time to get SRAM Red and full stock. And I don't know why. I don't know why. It's supposed to be in a glut of cycling stuff. And I'm forever spending far too much time battling to try to get stock, which is not a business admin I enjoy very much. But there we go. In more exciting 12-speed chain news, we are getting close, let me see if the camera will actually focus on these, to being able to get some stock of the new YBN Mark 12 chain. I've covered this a little bit previously, but basically the Mark 12 chain is the first aftermarket chain for SRAM's flat top systems. I'm not sure why it's taken so long for an aftermarket player like YBN or KMC or Whipperman to make a chain specifically for SRAM's flat top, because there are risks with running, I guess, normal standard 12-speed chains on SRAM's flat top systems. But yeah, finally we have, this one is almost out. It's undergone extensive testing in North America, and that has all gone extremely well. I'll be testing out one on my new T-type transmission bike as well very shortly. And I have been able to get one across to Ceramic Speed's Denmark lab for efficiency testing, and it is really, really fast. So we're talking sort of circa 70% faster than SRAM's flat top chains, which they're not horrific, but they're not the fastest chains, and that's kind of always been the case. So having a really fast chain for the flat top systems is going to be outstanding. I think they're going to be very, very popular, especially for racers. I do need to try to wear durability test one, but just based off, I guess, what we know from the YBN SLA 12-speed chains, I don't think wear life is going to be their strong point. I don't think they're going to be poor, but SRAM's higher-end chains, if nothing else, are very wear durable thanks to SRAM's hard chrome treatment. So I think this will be more of a race chain, sort of focus, because they'll have, much better in the speed department, but lesser in the wear durability. Making things really easy, they are just simply going to be compatible across all SRAM flat top systems, from T-type transmission to their existing flat top, access road, and also with flat top e-bike systems as well, because they have a new e-bike or e-transmission for their T-type as well. Running out of ability to speak again. So that's going to be easier. And it's a different name. Also not so easily confused with the existing YBN 12-speed chains. Something perhaps SRAM could potentially consider going forwards. So I'm hoping they're not too far away now. It's kind of been a little bit, they're coming. I think it's getting really close now, and I will be excitedly updating when we get stocks of them. And we'll do a proper launch then. Alrighty, let's move on to, I guess, what's really the main last little bit of today's vid, which is I guess want to keep everyone in the loop on what little zero friction cycling is going to be focused on and trying to get to, but also covering off some of the, I guess, resource and time challenges I'm going to have. It'll probably be easiest. I'll just run, I whipped up just the to-do list that's been rattling around in my noodle. It's like I'm back from leave and I need to really start tackling this mountain. So let's get this down and share it, and try to provide some expectations around what I'm going to be able to do and when. Just really so you guys are all aware of what little ZFC is trying to do. Right, now forgive me, this will be just basically a bit of a ramble. There's no sort of real way I'm going to get to try to practice wording or scripting on this, just as I run through the list. So apologies for the next approximately 5 to 10 minutes. All right, first one, obviously lubricant testing. That's just really obviously ongoing. I've got at the moment a bunch of private tests booked that are going to take me well into Q4, and we're obviously always being queried with regards to further testing by various manufacturers. It's something I'm trying to balance, how many of those I do versus trying to get to some open testing work and other work. It is a balance I find really difficult because there's just really not many other places for manufacturers to go and really get some great independent data or validation of their product, be it on the market or it's in development, and they want to ensure it is all that they hoped and dreamed before they press go on production. So it is hard to turn tests away when manufacturers are willing to pay for private testing. So that is something that's just going to be a continual balance fight. All right, single application longevity testing. This is a bit of an issue. So initially I had a single application longevity test and it was not as good as it should have been. So I introduced a new one, which is much better. Not all of the good lubricants that I would like to have tested have I been able to put them back through the new protocol. So there are some names that need to get done that I haven't done yet. If a lubricant's quite poor overall, I'm not going to bother putting it through the single application longevity testing because we shouldn't really be running it anyway. So I don't really care how long it lasts or not. But a bit of an issue overall with single application longevity testing is, so since forever, it has formed part of, double checking with regards to any initial penetration issues for a lubricant. So in the main test, the lubricant is applied as per the manufacturer instructions, and especially for wax strip lubricants, initial penetration issues have been relatively common. And so what we typically see is quite a high wear rate in clean block 1, where really all lubricants should have their lowest wear rate. And then we can see that the wear rate may stay very similar or even drop in block 2, where we're adding a whole bunch of dry contamination. When traditionally we would see wear rates increase due to that contamination. So that gives us the first big sort of hint that there's been some initial penetration issues, which is what has been behind the wear rate in block 1. The second part of that, proof is then when I do the single application longevity test, that has always been the lubricant applied via immersive application. Because for the single application longevity test, I'm not testing for penetration issues like I am in the main test. I'm testing to see how long a perfectly applied lubricant application of this product will last. And so when we, especially with some of the wax strips, when we see after it has been applied immersively, we see vastly better results initially than what we do in the main test. It's just a double confirmation whilst we're at it of the initial penetration issues for that product. The problem, can arise though with some products. So if I take, for instance, Silka's SS strip, that's one that's fairly difficult to get a heavy application on. Past a certain amount, excess does start to drip off fairly easily from the chain. And so it's quite possible that the single application longevity result that I get from doing the test protocol as it is may still not be that representative of, a single application longevity you might experience for yourself applying that product as per the manufacturer instructions. So I've got to do something about that, and that something is ideally they kind of need to be tested via immersive and via applying as per the manufacturer instructions. And then we get a really good data table then on, single application longevity for, look, hey, this is a brilliant product, but if you do apply it as per the manufacturer instructions, it's going to be around X. If you've got a really long event or long ride coming up, it might be best to apply it via immersive because maybe that adds 50% or more to that product's application longevity, and that's really worth knowing. So that's kind of been on the, on the radar that I need to make this change for a while. The problem is, again, just machine and resource time. So we're already been very flat out with lubricant testing, and I've been trying to, when I get a spare machine for a bit, do an open test on a sort of most requested or most interesting lubricant product, and trying to get to tackle this properly. It just keeps falling off the off the radar, and I'm struggling to get to it. But I will be trying to cover off for these and start work on, I guess, duplicating the test. So that needs to be done somehow. On top of that, there's also a bunch of chains, and there's more than this, but this is just a quick list or initial list of the main ones I really want to put through the wear durability testing. So we do have a lot of chain longevity wear, which we did as a project a few years ago. I spent a fair bit of time. It tested all up 30 chains. As opposed to the lubricant test where we have a control chain, for this we have a control lubricant, and then we're following the same test protocol, and we're checking obviously the chain's wear rates, and that's been really good data to go along with the any chain's efficiency data that we get from ceramic speed, so that we get the balance of a chain's outright efficiency as well as its wear life. So it'd be great to get that done for a lot of the newer chains on the market, especially these higher end fancy chains. But again, it takes up a machine time, and it's a lot of test time, all vying for very limited spots on machines. So it needs to get done. I'm just struggling on when to get all of this done. The chain prep test project, we did the initial attempt at that via using the test machines and seeing if we could pick up a difference in wear if the chain cleaning products were not removing the factory grease, but that method was flawed because factory grease is still a lubricant, so that did not work. I will be looking to revisit that using a oil or grease detection agent, which should be a bit more visual and a bit more stark. So that's on the to-do list. Chain tensile strength testing. I've had the tensile test machine fixed, at least I think so. And so again, there's a bunch of especially really the new 12-speed chains that I'd like to get tensile tested and see how things are going in most of 12-speed land with the really thin flat top chains versus the 11-speed chains. And I've got a mountain of documents that are fairly urgently in need of updating, some of them quite majorly. And a bunch of other little things as well. So all up, in between the normal day-to-day of keeping on top of stock and prepping chains for the retail side and general inquiries and so on, I do tend to fairly well run out of hours. So this is just a balance of things that we're going to be trying to do my best to get to add to the knowledge base for everybody, because that's what zero friction cycling is all about. But just to be aware, this is sort of what we're looking at, and especially with regards to the chain wear testing, single application longevity testing, and overall open data lubricant tests. It's a real balance for that. I've only got 3 test machines, and usually at least 2 of them are fully booked. And even with that, they're booked out for a long time, and it puts manufacturers looking to get testing on a fairly long wait list. So it's tricky. So I think there may come a point where to have any chance of getting through some things that really for, I guess, the knowledge that we want to get, such as the chain longevity testing and the single application longevity testing, I think there'll be a time soon I'll just have to call it where I don't do any testing for manufacturers, or sort of no private book testing for say 6 months, and just plow through and get that stuff done. Because I think at the current way of doing things, getting through that, it's going to drag on for literally years. So I'll be seeing what I can do, but that may just need to be it. So obviously the lack of private testing you won't notice it because a lot of that testing data stays private. Manufacturers will obviously have a bit of a longer wait than what they want, especially for there's a whole bunch we're testing for at the moment that's for products in development. And so it is hard to sort of make a call to stop doing that for a long block. But I again, it's just we just simply flat out have more work to get done than I possibly have test machine time and me time. And I will just say thank you to everyone in advance for bearing with me as I do my best to try to work through the mountain of stuff we want to try to get to help improve the knowledge. All right, that'll do. Obviously, I'll keep you updated on any earth-shattering decisions that I make, such as stopping private testing for X time. Keep you all in the loop there, and you'll notice anyway, because we'll start to be able to update on the vids with more groovy information from the open testing and data. Aside from that, pre-holidays, I was trying to get to a video update pretty much each week. Coming back post-holidays, I don't think I'm going to try to aim for that cadence. I just really don't think I'll have the time, resources. I was really pushing it before anyway, and that often comes out with, the complete lack of prep and the wording and everything. So I think for the second part of this year, I will just get to a video when I can, and if I can hopefully make it not too terribly worded. But yeah, it'll be a little bit of just figuring things a bit out as we go, the second part of 2024, as we try to get on top of things a bit better. All right, have a great weekend, everyone, and I will look forward to catching you probably not next week, but sometime not too far from now. Till then, stay low friction, stay safe, and have a grand old time.